I'm Dennis Willich with Nationwide Southwest. And here this morning with Rob Ridley with Clean Light, DC Lighting. He's going to talk to us a little bit about the future of lighting and where things are going. And I'm excited to have you here. Rob, thank you so much for being here this
Yes, sir. Absolutely does. So, just to introduce myself, I've been in the technology world, been an electrician for 34 years, both from the high voltage standpoint and the low voltage standpoint. Luckily, in my company that I previously had, which I recently sold, so we handled both products. So, but what I was seeing probably in about 2017, really when LED fixtures started becoming a thing, was that we were figuring out, okay, as an electrician, why am I running a large wire to such a small fixture? So the wires we were running is a 12-gauge wire, which will handle 1,800 watts of power. Well, a typical LED bulb requires 6. So there's no reason for, 1,794 watts of headroom to run a light bulb. So we, I got with a few gentlemen in the Austin area, and we were looking at this DC lighting product and was like, okay, this makes a lot of sense. So even as an electrician, I didn't look at it as taking money out of my pocket. I looked at like, look, I need to learn this stuff because this is the way it's going. And so getting involved in the DC lighting in the early stages, I've seen some transitions, I've seen some battles, but I think we are at the point now where with Clean Life that we have a proven product. It's in lots of projects around the world. We are saving electricians, builders, whoever, tons of money just on physical wire. A typical piece of Romex wire at its peak during COVID was around 66 cents a foot. I was actually wiring homes with DC lighting in those days, and my wire cost is about 8 cents a foot. Mm-hmm. So the fixture itself was roughly the same price, but the labor and the material cost to get the wiring done was way less expensive. Wire specifically, but on the standpoint of the labor side, was I did not have to hire, or I was not having to pay my licensed electricians to pull the wire because it's not a licensed required product. Okay. So I was using my lower level guys, my guys that were literally half price of hourly. Electrician typically is going to be in the $40 to $50 an hour range, and I've got guys that I was paying $18 an hour, and inspectors would walk into the projects, no problem. Guys, what are you doing? We're pulling low voltage. Have a nice day. They've never touched us, never bothered us. At the end of the day, the outcome is the same. You flip the switch on, the light comes on, same CRI, same Kelvin levels, same outputs. So it's like, this doesn't make sense why I would be pulling these big wires anymore. So with a lot of the millennial groups that are coming up, with the facts that they honestly don't want to own a home, I don't think. A lot of MDU projects are coming up. A lot of modular builders have just blown up the market. This is a perfect product for a modular builder because their product is being built in a factory setting rather than actually stick built on a job site. Now, this is a great product for stick built builders as well, and integrators that work with those builders, right? So the integrator, to me, could go to their builder and say, hey, here's this new product. I'm able to do it for you. It doesn't require a license. I would recommend that they team up with the electrician. You don't want to make bad blood. The electrician, we still need him. We still need him for the plugs. We still need him for the home run to our panel. We still got to have him build the meter. We got to set him, put the washer, dryer, everything in like that. But the lighting can be left up to us, and we can prove to that builder not only a cost savings, but we can also prove to that builder that we can increase the integrity of their home. And I've had builders question me on that, and I've been to some builder shows, and they're like, and I've built homes myself, so I'm like, guys, look, think about this. As an electrician, I can only run two large wires per hole, and I'm drilling a 1-inch hole with a big auger bit through your headers in your house. With low voltage, I don't have that requirement. I can drill one small hole, one 3/8 hole, and run 5-6 wires through the same hole. So there's how I'm improving the integrity of your home. I'm not grabbing nails and ripping them out of the wall with my auger bit. I'm using a nice little clean hole, which running my wires. So they're like, okay, you got me. So it's kind of a win-win. I mean, I believe it's a win-win for everybody. I mean, there's still money to be made. We still have to have lights. It's just a different way of doing them to save money.
Now, let me ask you this. We look at this regular electric wiring pole, run it to a light, throw the switch on, light comes on. What's my cost to run that light there versus with the low voltage?
Well, you actually have to look at it from a bigger box. So with as an electrician, we're only able by code to run X amount of fixtures per circuit, right? So typically most guys are going to fall in that 20 range of 20 fixtures per breaker. So if you factor the entire thing in, you're talking about your labor costs, your wire costs, your fixture cost is roughly the same, but the lack of breakers, potentially, you could go down, cut your breakers literally down to one for a typical 3,000 square foot home, where a typical 3,000 square foot home would probably have 3 to 4 breakers for lights. We can reduce that all the way down to one because of the power consumption that our lights require. So my guess, I mean, I've done some personal tests on my own projects, and I would say that I'm saving roughly $400 to $500 per 1,000 square feet on a home. When you look at the entire box, I save roughly $400 to $500, or in my case, I profit $400 to $500 more per 1,000 square feet by using DC lighting over AC lighting.
Yeah.
So, like I said, it's a win. This is one of those products that you would think, and I bought the world's going green automatically means money. Everybody seems like they think that going green is going to cost more. Well, this is one product that actually costs less, and the efficiency of the fixture, not only for the builder, not only for the electrician, the integrator that's going to be putting this in, but the end user, the homeowner at the end. Number one, they can't be shocked. There's not enough voltage in the line to be shocked personally as a homeowner. There's really no chance of fire. There's no spark created really by the low voltage unless you blatantly spark the wires together with a cotton ball under it. And then the other part of that is the just the sustainability of the lights. I mean, a lot of high voltage fixtures, the driver is built into the fixture. And a typical LED fixture, the LED is not what's failing. It's the driver. Kind of like in an old fluorescent or incandescent light. You got this little tiny filament. Every time you flip you're sending 110 volts of electricity through this little teeny tiny filament. And if you've noticed, if you've ever turned on a light in the past, when did it break? When did it pop? Every time when you turn it on, pop.
Yeah.
Well, with drivers, that's the same thing that happens. So in a high voltage fixture, the driver is built into the fixture, so it's getting hit with 110 volts of electricity and having to transform that down to DC in order to drive the LED fixture. With DC, that constant current is being sent to the fixture at all times, so there's never that hard hit from the 110 volts of electricity. The transformation of that power happens at the head end or at the transformer, which feeds the entire home, not just per light. So you can imagine in a large home with a 20-foot ceiling where, you get down off your ladder and you flip the switch on, boom, one pot. Well, you got to get back on your 20-foot ladder. Well, in the case with DC, that's never going to happen because it's constantly feeding the same current to all the fixture itself. So I think it's just, it just makes sense. It just makes sense for every builder, for every integrator, for every electrician to be transitioning over this next year or two to DC because it's definitely coming, and you better learn it or you're going to lose it. That's the way I always look at it. So,
and that makes a lot of sense. And by the way, yesterday when we had a conversation, you were telling me a little bit about wattage or voltage, about the 73,
yes, so
72, and
correct.
Explain that again.
So this is really more beneficial to from the AV integrator side or the low voltage contractor side is that the typical cutoff of high voltage versus low voltage, where you have to have a license to do electrical versus not. In the past, that number was around 72 volts. And of course, with some bartering and things like that, they've now reduced that number, or they're in the process of reducing that number down to around 53 volts. Well, if you use a product like Clean Life, we're only a 48 volt system. So we're already still under that threshold of what's required by electrical code. So, I mean, we had some, engineers that were forward thinking. The reason we went to 48 volt also versus 12 or 24 is just sheer distance and the amount of fixtures that you can run on one circuit. 24 volts, just like in your car, boat, or RV or whatever, you can only run so far, and then it dies, it falls off. Well, that's the benefit of electricity. You can run electricity much further, but it's a much larger wire. So with 48 volt being a nice little niche fit, you can compensate. I could say we could easily wire a 7,500 square foot home, 100% DC with no issues.
Wow.
So, and then there's ways, if you get bigger than that, there's ways to, boost the signal along the way and things like that, like you would with thinking about your internet or anything else. But yeah, it's, I just believe that any builder that would be watching this, any integrator, any electrician, as I talk to the electricians, I look, guys, this is not a loss for you guys. If you learn it, you'll keep the work. But what you don't want is not learn it, because our customers are getting smarter and smarter. These homeowners are getting smarter and smarter, and they're reading, they're seeing things, and they're going, okay, well, I'm putting in a car charger in my house. I'm putting in a 20-SEER air conditioning system. I'm using PEX plumbing. I'm using 2x6 exterior walls and spray foam insulation, and doing everything they can to cut down on their carbon footprint. Well, here's really the only thing, other than the transition of adding a ground to the electricity and adding LED lighting. It's really the only thing in 120 years that's changed in the electrical world. So, the old school electricians, which I've been doing this for 34 years, so I consider myself one of those, but I'm also very forward thinking about very futuristic look. And I'm always wanting to learn and everything. And so when this DC lines, okay, this makes sense. I just started learning more and more about it. It's like, man, and then started doing houses with it. It's like, look, I'm having no problems.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, the fixtures go in, they're work, the homeowners like them, and I just I'm not replacing them. They don't go out, because you're never getting that hard hit from that 110 volts electricity. So, but yeah, anybody that that has interested in getting into the line, they really need to look at it.
Okay. Well, that's very good. And let me ask you one last question.
Sure.
How's the TOLA convention feel to you?
TOLA's great. It's very, I like it because it's very personal. It's, it's not so overwhelming that some of these International Builder Show and CEDIA and these giant conventions, you just can't, you spend 3 days, you still can't talk to everybody. It's just where this TOLA event has been very well put together, just enough vendors here where you can have that, that 30-minute one-on-one conversation with your, all your favorites, and, get plenty of time. So they did a wonderful job.
Thank you very much. Listen, Rob, thank you for being here, buddy. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
And thanks for all this great information.
Absolutely.
And where we're headed for the future.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Have a great day.
Yes, sir.